Everybody, this is the Radical Center. My name is Jonathan Langley.
And I'm Jackie Nowak. Welcome.
Yeah, you're not gonna, see, you throw me off every time. It used to be that you would do the day or the week, or now you're not doing that anymore.
You told me not to.
That's true. So did you? Oh, that's right, I did. It's all my
Just
fault.
saying.
So did you have a good Labor Day weekend? We didn't do it. Show them.
Right, we skipped a week, and
Yeah.
it feels like it's been a month.
It does feel like it's been a month. And the reason I know it's been a month, I want to get to this. I have a whole list of things to talk about, but you're gonna do your good, the bad, and the ugly,
Of course,
which I
of
keep
course.
forgetting about. But I do. When you want money from people, you don't insult them.
Oh,
And I
that's
wanna-
not that you don't give people money who insult you.
Well, I
What's
want to
wrong with
read to you some of the solicitations I've received.
Oh, okay.
Because I get
Okay.
so many now from the Democrats and the Republicans, but clearly, I can tell you that the Trump campaign's lost its mind. And I will read it to you, and I will let you decide if you think they're being polite and saying, please give me money because
Yeah.
we're trying to beat the liberals, or if you think they're being insulting. I'll let you decide. We want to get to, I do want to talk about Trump's promises, but I really want to talk to you about cognitive dissonance because a friend of mine last week brought it up, how people left and right why do they justify something by twisting themselves into pretzels?
Absolutely, because if you talk to a liberal, they'll tell you how crazy Fox News is. You talk to Fox News people, and they'll sit there and say that ABC, CNN,
Right.
all of them, or they never give credit to Trump for anything.
Well,
and so, yes,
yeah.
it depends
So I
on
wanna
your
talk-
perspective.
Well,
So we
cognitive
all need to be
dissonance
aware.
I learned about, and is to do with protecting yourself.
Sure.
Self as in capital S,
Mm-hmm.
SELF. And it's so protecting yourself and your self-preservation. It's a self-preservation thing,
Okay.
which is why people are used to worry about Trump. Clinton's character don't seem to worry about Trump's character. So anyway, I want to get to that. But do you have any good, the bad, and the ugly? I have no idea.
I do, but
What is it?
I just had to ask you a real quick question first.
Uh-huh.
Did you see the list of Supreme Court nominees that Trump put out?
I didn't see the list, but I do know that
favorite person?
Ted Cruz was on the list and Jim Jordan. Was Jim Jordan on it? It was one other one. I know.
You know what? It might have
may
been
not be Jim Jordan.
The
I know Ted Cruz.
one jumped out at me, and I thought, okay, I just got to see if Jonathan has any comments.
Well,
about that.
it's simple, right? Donald Trump is very good at recognizing people's weaknesses. I'll give him that. That's why he comes up with those great names like Basement Biden or Crazy Hillary or whatever. He's very good at finding a weak point and zeroing on it. And of course, the weak point for Ted Cruz, well, there's several. He's clearly a coward. Is his political ambitions. Mm-hmm. So by throwing him a bone, he doesn't need Texas. Trump might win Texas. It's not like he cares about Texas. It's throwing a bone to Cruz to keep him in line.
Yeah,
That's really all it is.
It seemed so obvious.
Yes.
It
So
was anyway.
people have said to me, most of these friends of mine are
But
lawyers.
loyalty pays.
Loyalty pays. Exactly.
Loyalty
You're
pays.
right. Loyalty pays. One of my friends who's a lawyer told me that he's glad that Trump won because he protected us from Hillary. And my answer always was, well, I'm glad Trump won because it protects us from Ted Cruz. Because remember, Ted Cruz was running
a lot
with
of
him.
people really like him.
Yeah, and also that he protected us from believe it or not, from the Republicans. Because if Ted Cruz had been in power, it would have been game over. It would have been even worse, in my opinion.
Really?
Absolutely. Oh, my God, because he's smart. He's uber smart. Okay. I'm not saying he's the best person to be president.
Right.
But he's very cynical. Clearly, because well, we know he's cynical. I don't even have to explain why he's cynical, but I'm going to anyway. Thank you for asking. We know he's cynical because Ted Cruz's parents were insulted. His father was insulted by Trump, and his wife was insulted by Trump.
Yeah.
Right? So how can you then not be cynical and go, I'm just going to ignore it, sweetheart, because I want to be real. I want to be president one day.
Right.
That's cynicism right there. He's like, okay.
Okay.
All right. So give me good, the bad, and the ugly.
Let's talk about good, bad, and ugly. All right.
What is it?
Good.
You're in a good mood today. I noticed this. You're all happy
so
and smiley.
Observant.
I did notice this. Are you on something, or do you have a shot of alcohol before you came in?
This is just enthusiasm.
Whatever it is, keep doing it.
It is fall enthusiasm. How's that?
Yes. Okay. So what is the good, the bad, and the ugly?
Well, the good, maybe I'm in a good mood because college football and UT won last night.
Well, they won against a team. It was like me playing them.
I'm just kidding. I didn't even watch
So wasn't it like 110-0?
very close. I
Yeah.
think it was 50 something.
I didn't even watch I was at some friends' houses last night, and the reason I went there was to watch the game.
Yeah.
And we didn't watch it because it was like, why would you
But
watch
look,
it?
it got you together with friends. I hope you social distance. No,
We didn't.
I know.
Yeah.
This is the
There's
trap
only-
we're all falling into
I know.
right now. Because now we're like, ugh, I'm tired of this. But fall is coming. And have you seen the projections?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so this was the time, as President Trump said, that it could go away. No, that wasn't.
He said
actually,
15 people are going to get it, and it's going to go down to 0. Just
that
watch.
wasn't the outrageous thing or the outrageous thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Because in summertime, it should have gotten less, right? But since it didn't, now the projections for January are about 600,000 dead.
So wait a minute.
January.
Really? By
Yes.
January 2021.
That was a recent.
What are we at now? 190,000? So it's
so
3 times,
200,
3x,
yeah.
3x?
By January.
Well, here's an interesting thing. I follow it. California is the second state compared to New York with number of deaths. Texas is only 6 behind now
Really?
with number
and
of
see, in
deaths. And
California,
sorry to interrupt. Remember they have 40 million population. We have 30 million. So ratio-wise, we're doing much worse.
That's interesting. I didn't know that.
I'm
But
gonna
you know,
wait-
in California, their restaurants are still closed. They never opened restaurants.
Yeah. Their restaurants, I don't know if I guarantee, their gyms are still closed. I know that because I speak to
Okay.
people in Cali.
Yeah. And apparently, because of Nancy Pelosi, maybe their salons are still closed too, technically. How did they do that?
I didn't even follow what the hell happened with that hairdressing thing. I was like, whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, who gives a shit? Seriously. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like we got people out of work, people being evicted, and we're worrying about what is she, the leader of the House, Speaker of the House went to get her hair done? I mean,
Without a mask. But
without a mask? I mean, come on.
But it's the Republicans who are so outraged who don't wear masks. But I guess it's hypocrisy.
Yes. Okay. Like
Okay.
Ted Cruz
Which,
is a good
fair
example
enough.
of that. All right.
Yeah. So good news.
By the way,
college
we are
football's
not coming
back.
across as middle of the road right now.
I never said I was.
Well,
Was I supposed to be middle of the
well,
road?
radical center. I mean, I'm an independent. I thought, okay.
You never. You're
No.
There's just the radical part of
The
show.
radical. I am the radical part. Fair enough. Okay, so what is your? Can we get to good, the bad, and the ugly before
Well,
we
I
get
just
ourselves?
told you the good was the football. And
Oh, that was the good.
You just totally dismissed
Sorry,
it as
sorry.
no big deal. But to
Yeah,
the
because I don't.
rest of the world,
I don't care about. No, not
I
the
know.
rest of the world. The rest of America. No one else in the world watches
Okay.
American.
You know
football.
what? Fair enough.
Yeah.
I admit you're right there.
Okay.
It's one time.
Okay. Well, yeah.
So yeah, a lot of people are excited about that.
I'm excited too, especially for the kids that are playing it. I'm excited for them. I want them to play.
Okay, yeah,
they
because
put-
could you imagine, like, it's your freshman year, you get a scholarship, and then nothing.
Well, that's happened for Big 10 and Big
for
12,
a
right?
lot of people, not
We'll
just football.
see who was right. Okay, so
Okay,
what's your bad
so
then?
the bad. This is where things get a little crazy.
Mm-hmm.
President Trump. Wait, no, I'm going to reverse this because I made a little change. So the bad is that the Treasury Department has actually held funds that were here in the United States by a Russian person due to Russian hacking and interference in American elections. This is the Trump Treasury Department froze assets of Russians due to Russian interference in the 2020
So why is that bad?
election.
That's good, isn't it? I mean, the fact...
that Russians are interfering in
No,
our
the
election?
fact that they caught them on it and it froze the money.
Okay, that part's good.
Yeah.
The part that's bad is that America continues to
Absolutely,
be hacked.
yes.
And it's not just the Facebook ads, that kind of stuff. They're literally hacking into campaign managers' personal emails and personal laptops, hacking into, and it's not just Russia. Apparently, it's China, it's Ukraine.
Definitely North
But
Korea.
they're the same exact people who were doing the hacking in 2016. That was supposedly
You would have thought, but
a
again, if we
hoax.
were protecting the United States Constitution and we were protecting the sanctity of the election, that the Trump would be all over this. That's his job, to
here's
protect the
thing
American
is
people.
He has, even as his Treasury Department is freezing assets of these players, he continues to say that this was all a big hoax, that none of this happened.
Well, did you read? Have you read anything about what's the guy that went to jail? He was his lawyer.
So many.
No, the one recently, the book Cohen just came out with a book, and I've just read the headlines on it. The things that
Cohen came out with the book?
Yes, yeah. There isn't one book that's come out, and I hate to say why do they all write books? We know why, it's money, but there isn't one book that's come out that said anything good about Donald Trump. Anybody that's ever worked there, that worked in the. I'm not talking about Sean Hannity writing a sycophants.
I was going to say,
like,
I can find you some.
No. I'm not talking about people like Shallow Hal and all these other people. I'm talking about people that worked in administration. There isn't one book that's been published. Even Mustache Guy. What's the guy? Mustache Guy's name? Bolton. There isn't. Who's a hardcore conservative, a hawk actually. There isn't one book that's come out of the. I don't know, at least 8 or 10 books that have come out on Trump, 2 of them by Bob Woodward, that have said anything good about Trump. Nothing. And it's incredible. I know Woodward wasn't in the...
And many of them are by Republicans.
Yeah. They're all people that worked in the administration. If I take Woodward out, he wasn't in the administration. But all the people that were in the administration that wrote books, there isn't one that's come out and said, oh, he was fantastic. He was the best boss I ever had.
Well, we'll wait for Kellyanne's because she'll say that.
Kellyanne Conway.
Yeah.
Or she might.
Yeah, I think she still feels that he's...
Well, we're going to talk about cognitive dissonance in a minute, about how you twist yourself into pretzels. Okay, what else?
So that was the bad.
What's the
Russians hacking,
I agree, that's really bad. What's ugly?
Interfering. And the ugly is President Trump telling people basically, vote early, vote often.
Oh, vote twice.
Yeah, vote twice.
Yes.
Maybe
no
more.
Big deal. Let's just test it out.
Yeah, because if we do really have these protections in place, then it won't go through anyway.
I've got an ugly. Can I bring an ugly in? I
please.
usually don't. I'll leave it to you. So, I subscribe to all these newspapers.
Yes.
And I get 2 hard copy ones, but because sometimes it's just nice to have the tactile, old-fashioned feel of a newspaper. So the Wall Street Journal, which I always make fun of their op-ed page because it's so easy. It's like shooting fish in a barrel. But the 8 major drug companies, I don't know if you heard about this, took out an ad signed by their CEOs. It was a combination of American drug companies, British drug companies, and I know there was one Swiss, or I know there's a French one in there, saying we're not going to commit to putting a vaccine on the market until it's thoroughly tested and it's safe. Mm-hmm. The fact that the drug companies had to buy an ad to put out in the Wall Street Journal, signed by their CEOs, saying that in response to Trump saying we're going to get this by October, it's going to be fantastic, don't worry.
Because the numbers are ridiculously high of people who are like, yeah, not on me. You're not testing this on me. I'm not going to take it.
No, Trump's saying we're going to have it. We're going to rush it through. And it's like, no. And the drug companies themselves are saying we're not going to do that. Right. It's like Trump saying we're going to get rid of the payroll tax until next year. Mm-hmm. Many companies are saying, no, we're not doing that.
Why would I do that?
Why would I do that?
Because as a business person, my husband and I discussed it. And what if between now and then somebody quits? Do I still owe their taxes? Yes, I'll end up paying.
Is that right? Oh, yeah. I get it.
So somebody who works for me, I put their taxes on hold. And they're supposed to pay. So why would I put that burden on my employees that, you're going to have to pay this money back? Then twice as much comes out of your check.
It's just a tax holiday. You still have to pay it back.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous. It's the stupidest thing. It is.
I don't see how it helps anything, especially for part-time workers who, they're not taking tremendous amounts of money, so it's not like a big relief.
No, it's not. If you're not working, it doesn't.
And then it puts pressure on me. I've got to calculate all this stuff and hold it and then pay.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's asinine. It doesn't mean it. It's ludicrous.
Yeah, I say just stick to the schedule.
So actually, I put that drug company ad and what they felt under. I put it under all 3: good, the bad, and the ugly. It's all 3 coupled into one. It's good because they felt.
Yeah, I was going to say I didn't.
It's good because they felt because they had the guts to do it. It's bad because they were put in a position where they felt they had to do it, and it's ugly because of the reasons they had to do it. So it's all I got. Well, hey,
there are lots of people who just simply don't trust vaccines.
That's
from
different,
the get-go.
though. But
and then there's the other people who are like, well, let me wait and see how everybody else does it. I'm not going to be a guinea pig. And then there's the other people. There's actually hundreds of thousands of people volunteering to.
I know. In the UK, they had to stop that one.
Amazing.
And they had to stop the one
trial.
test, and then they've started it again.
Okay.
All right. Now,
So that was it. That was it.
So can I tell you how not to ask people for money?
Oh, please
So
do.
imagine you got this email.
Okay.
By the way, this is from someone called Secure and Prosper. I have no idea. Actually, I guess I know. Whoops, I know how they got my name, because obviously I'm on all these these mailing lists. But you don't start off by insulting people. Here's how it started off. You're in the bottom 3%, Jonathan. You're in the. I'm not making this up. It's what it says. You're in the bottom 3%. By the way, Secure and Prosper does a newsletter as well.
Okay.
And I actually don't think they're very smart, because it's a newsletter that says
from the first sentence, I'm shocked.
Yeah, but it's a newsletter that so this obviously they're sending this out to the Secure and Prosper mailing list, but it's a newsletter they typically send out every few days with links to stories. Mm-hmm. But some of the stories clearly these people are like 12. They're sending out links to sites that are satire.
Oh, okay.
And they don't even know it. So at first, so when I first started getting Secure and Prosper, I thought, is Secure and Prosper satire as well? But then I realized they're trying to be serious. Okay, dear Jonathan, you are in the bottom 3%. We just pulled our records. So that was the headline. Mm-hmm. Jonathan, we just pulled our records, and you are in the bottom 3% of all Trump supporters in your area. We came up short. By the way, that's a common phrase. We came up short, as you're about to hear. We're terrified what will happen if we come up short again. And it goes on a little bit. Here's another one. This one's from the GOPemail.com. I have no idea who this is. This is your final message, which is total bullshit, because they mail me like 10 times a day. Did you ignore Donald Trump Jr.'s email? He asked you personally to help meet our critical goal. Unfortunately, we came up short, but the deadline has been extended. With less than 2 months to go, please stand with our president. Seriously, I'm ignoring the personal emails of Donald Trump. This is my favorite, though. You want to hear this one? This is my favorite. This is from Donald Trump Jr. again, from something called the Daily Grind News. I have no idea what that is.
I've heard of the Daily Grind.
Dear Jonathan, my father and I were just talking about you. So apparently, Donald Trump Jr. and Dad are talking about...
They probably listen to the show.
They probably listen to the show. Democrats have outraged Senate Republicans by a huge margin, blah, blah, objection as Democrats, blah, blah, blah. We're looking for everyone. This is a real risk. So my dad and I worked to handpick a group of top supporters, in caps, to help us turn things around.
You went from the bottom 3% to the top.
Apparently,
that's progress, dude.
I know. We're looking for a list of everyone on our call. Please don't ignore this. We are seeing this from the left. What we're seeing from the left is frightening. Oh, sorry. My father and I chose you because you've been someone we could count on in the past. Bearing in mind, I'm not giving him one penny. Sorry, I got a few.
But they are
the
getting
last one.
out fundraised.
They are.
But thanks to Michael Bloomberg, you know that one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I did. So here's my last one. We've tried to reach you 8 times in the last week. And I get, by the way, I've had a lot of these.
I think they probably made that number
up.
I
think they did. Is this still your email? We told you liberals just dumped tens of millions of dollars to destroy Trump. You've let us down. This is a great way to incent people to give you money.
Well, you don't want to let them down, Jonathan.
We've never been let down by you before. Well, actually, you have, because they haven't given you anything. You've been flagged as a top supporter of the president. That's why we were shocked to hear that you allowed your 500% match. This is the thing they all say.
And see, I think Donald Trump Jr. probably told them.
He must have, that I'm really one of their top supporters. We were shocked to hear you allowed your 500% match to expire, even after hearing this devastating news. You have let us down, so we extended your 500% match by 1 hour.
Hey, here's what my thinking is.
By the way, I've got dozens
and dozens. That must be an effective way to get people's attention who were sitting there going, oh, yeah, I got to do that. Oh, yeah, I got to do that. By saying, look, you're letting us down. And so maybe it must work, or else they wouldn't use that language.
And the reason I picked these out, I get just as many from the Democrats. I'm not picking on the Democrats.
Oh, I think you are.
Republican. No, let me tell you, the reason I'm picking on the Republicans versus the Democrat ones are really polite. The Republican ones are basically, you've let us down. How dare you do that? You are in the bottom 3%. Well, 1 minute I'm in the bottom 3%. And
Yes.
next minute, I'm in one of the top supporters.
I know.
I didn't print the other one out that said I was one of the top 15. So that's fantastic. I'm one of the
Yes.
top 15 supporters of Donald Trump, apparently.
Very nice. Very nice.
All right. So I did want to talk to you about women who voted for Trump. I think this is a big thing. Do you want to get to that?
Let's do it.
Or can we talk about the promises that Trump said he was going to keep and didn't? Which do you want to do first?
Let's do the women, because I can have some input there.
Yeah, okay. So hold on a second. I've got to find it. And then I want to talk about cognitive dissonance. Okay, so the Wall Street Journal. No, it wasn't the Wall Street Journal. So I wanted to talk to you because clearly you're a woman. And
I am.
And you're a white woman.
I am.
So now there's a Washington Post had an article out which got me thinking that said the headline is they voted for him, meaning Trump, and now regret it. Why white women are turning away from Trump. It just goes through and gives you some examples. And I know personally some people who in Houston who were who were Republicans who voted for Trump in 2016 who have now come. This is a couple, but obviously, and they're white, mid-40s, who are so disgusted with him they're not going to vote. On the other hand, my friend's wife's sister, his sister-in-law, has caused problems because she's become so Trump supportish that it's caused problems between the sisters.
Okay.
So asking you live in suburbia.
Yes.
There's a lot of Trump people. Do you know why they voted for Trump in 2016? I'm talking women here.
Okay.
And do you think many of your friends and colleagues and everybody else are they still going to vote for Trump? Women particularly, I'm talking about. What have you noticed?
I've noticed that the Trump supporters are still Trump supporters. It's not because they support him as much as they support the Republican Party. That's my thinking.
But he's done. But the irony is he's not a Republican.
Vote Democrat. Give
Right.
them another choice, they'll vote for that person. If there were a Republican running against him, people that I know might choose the other Republican. He's not a lot of people's first choice, but guess what?
He's not a Democrat.
He's not a Democrat.
So is that true for the women? I'm talking about for women here. It's the women that not just. I mean, you live in white suburbia, outside
You
of.
don't know that. But okay.
It's predominantly.
It
I shouldn't say
predominantly
white
it
suburbia. You
is.
live in suburbia,
Yeah.
which is, how should we say, demographically challenged in that most of the people are not minorities. Is that fair?
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's fair, right?
It's a more diverse neighborhood than you think.
Okay.
But yes.
Okay. So I'm not. It's not a criticism. It's just an
Yeah,
observation
no.
of fact. But you're saying that most of the women that you know, they just use that phrase.
If they were Trump supporters, they're still Trump supporters.
Really?
I don't know anybody who's changed their mind.
Really?
Not a single person. There are people who are sick of him and people who, let me just use my family as an example rather than my neighborhood.
Okay.
I have 6 sisters.
I know. You're a big family.
The anti-Trumpers are still anti-Trumpers. The Trump supporters are still Trump supporters.
This is the females in your family.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I was a little bit surprised when my friend and his wife, when my friend told me, who I've known for years, told me that, unsolicited by me, that he and his wife were so disgusted, this is their word, not mine, so disgusted by Donald Trump that they feel they just can't vote for him.
And
anymore.
I do know there are people like that.
Mm-hmm.
I do not know any of them.
See, that's fascinating because I find it, some of these people maybe just felt they couldn't. Maybe these people were on the edge before, right? They didn't want to vote for Hillary, so they sort of reluctantly voted for Trump. So maybe these are the people who were going to vote for Trump this time.
But this is Texas. It is a little bit different. It's a little bit more of a stronghold. So if there are some battleground states and people are talking that way, I could see that's a possibility. But I think that the Republican Party has such a stronghold, but there's enough other people supporting Trump that it lifts you up if you were even considering changing. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So if you're surrounding yourself by a lot of people who go, I just don't get these liberals. How come they want the cities to burn and they don't want policemen on the air?
Yeah, I know. So I agree with you. So here's the interesting thing, though. Hillary Clinton won the majority of votes for women in 2016. But I didn't realize this, but she lost to Trump amongst white women. However, they now show he's weakening amongst that. Here's what was really interesting. In Pennsylvania, I didn't realize this. In 2016, 6 million ballots were cast. 6 million in 2016. But Trump won by only 44,000 votes in Pennsylvania, out of 6 million.
Right.
That's how close it was. White women said in interviews that they're fed up with what they consider Trump's recklessness, divisiveness, and lack of empathy for many Americans they know who are struggling. So maybe, do you think that's part of the problem, is that so many of the people that you know are not aware of people who are having a hard time economically?
There's possibility there.
I see that.
Answer.
I definitely see that amongst my friends.
Right. So let me
Definitely.
give you the other answer. So economics plays. So if you're doing well and you're still doing well, that's an important issue. Number 2 is my age group. I'm an older woman.
You're a boomer. No, you're not. You're a millennial. No, you're
I'm
not.
somewhere in
Generation
between,
X. Yeah,
something.
yeah. We're not going to give your age away on the air. Don't worry.
Well, I'm older. So in my age group,
You wear it well.
I don't hang out with 30-year-old women who are raising small children and have to explain to
your
those
kids are grown.
children why things are this way or why the president is behaving this way. So I could see where younger women or even women with teenagers might go, man, I can't exactly explain this to my 16-year-old son that he shouldn't behave this way, or he shouldn't bully, or he shouldn't lie. And I could see that younger women might go, I can't condone this type of behavior. Older women have kind of got set in their ways.
Well,
this is my thinking.
No, you could be right. I mean, my friend, I can only think of one. This
Right.
friend of mine in Houston and his wife, who voluntarily told me that there's, again, I'm going to use their word, discussed it with Trump, that they just can't vote for him anymore. Most of my friends are, between I would say Gen X to boomers, are comfortable economically, shall we say.
Yeah.
At least they certainly give the appearance. I don't sit there and pry
And it
into
doesn't even have to be the pandemic that affected your life, just your life in general. If you're in the financial markets, it's been, a bull market. So your life is great under Trump. Why would you want to change that?
Right. So this woman they reference here, the Jennifer Applegate, she's a 42-year-old mother of 2. She's 42, right? So she said, so that's millennial? No, Gen X, I think. She said, I would do anything to have him not reelected, but she did vote for Trump. But she said she was a longtime Democrat. She voted for Obama, and she's seen Trump as a successful, powerful, and charismatic business person, et cetera, et cetera. She now goes on to say, it's my stupidity, my ignorance. It's embarrassing. I find myself still apologizing to people. I was so disappointed I was part of that Trump movement. And I think if there's enough of these out there, Trump's definitely going to lose.
Okay, well, so here's the next question to that then. The polling that is going on right now is saying that because Trump is telling people to vote on Election Day and Democrats are saying mail-in ballots, what if it looks like Election Day comes and Trump has won Election Day, but as the week plays out or as the next 2 weeks unfold, then it looks like Biden has won.
Oh, yeah.
Is he going to say, look how this is rigged?
Of course he is.
This
He's saying
is
it
rigged.
now. He said it last night.
I know, but our country is it's divided like almost 50-50.
But this
is the craziness.
This is the problem, right, with people like Trump. They find a scapegoat, in this case it's the media. Zero in on the media. You make them the scapegoat, so no matter what happens, you can have someone to blame. And also, he was saying even in 2016, 2016.
And the media has a lot of culpability.
Of
here.
course they do.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I totally agree. They have a responsibility. But that works both sides of the fence, by the way.
Absolutely.
Fox News has responsibility. More than most,
yes,
actually.
And
because of their
basically,
unique.
they're a propaganda machine.
Oh, no, they're
rather
definitely,
than
they're
news.
state media. They're
Right.
Trump state media. I mean, they're Pravda. or what is it?
No, that was
Russia
good.
Today.
Yeah.
Russia Today. Anyway, so here's a 60-year-old woman. I know I'm just cherry picking here, but she's saying she's a mother of 3 college students, so her kids have grown, and she was disheartened by what she saw in Portland and everything. Blah blah blah. Then she goes on to. It started off with Black Lives Matter, black people kneeling, but now it's not just blacks. It's every color. This is her words: every color, every sex, every orientation. She's embarrassed that before Trump, she defended him. Before Trump even got the nomination, she was defending him. I feel like I threw my vote away and allowed this to happen, and I think that I have to speak out and speak out the truth. I've had people tell me that I'm rude. I've had people tell me I'm too assertive. I've had people in my own family say, you shouldn't post on Facebook, that's not what it's for. She goes on to say, listen, I tell them when I'm old, I'll be able to scroll through my memories and remember that I stood for something. I think that's really, really important,
powerful.
really powerful. And if only our people like Ted Cruz and John Cornyn. Is John Cornyn up for election this year? I know
Yes,
Cruz
he is.
Okay, well, that'll be interesting. So, but in your case, though, right, as a white woman, educated, successful business person, you're not in that realm, though, right? That's what's interesting. You would actually, just by the stereotype, you would think you would be a Trump voter.
Really? Perhaps. Yeah, maybe. I mean,
But you're not.
no.
No. And yet you have 6 sisters.
Yes.
3 of them clearly are.
Yes.
3 or 4, whatever. the number.
Actually, 2 are strong supporter, and 1 brother is
So
super strong brother.
So why you all raised by the same parents? You're all educated, clearly.
Okay.
I mean,
Yeah,
you're sort of shaking your head, but I'm assuming
Okay,
that
yeah.
you're all educated to some extent. Put it like this: no one's sitting there drawing markings on a cave wall.
No.
So why are members of your family, especially the women?
Because we were raised in different communities too.
Okay.
So one was Arizona and California,
Yeah.
and very strict religious philosophy, and sort of rebels against very right to life.
Oh,
pro-choice.
okay.
But that one topic
Oh, you
swung
think
her
that's
to
it?
Republican early on, and that's where she will
That's
remain.
like saying squirrel to a dog. You say squirrel, and they immediately.
But,
It's like a
decades and decades.
It's like a trip word.
Yes, but over decades, you ascribe to the entire philosophy, right?
That's actually a really
so
good
that's
point.
what brings you in, and then you just ascribe. That's her whole entire adult
really good-
life. That's what she
That's actually a really good.
gravitates towards
So
the
that's actually really-
Republican platform and
That's a really
philosophy.
good. That's a really good point. A great seg. That's really good. What you're saying is that brought them into the fold
Right.
in her case.
right,
And
and then you
then-
just
That's really interesting. So that brings me. That's a great segue into cognitive dissonance.
okay.
Dissonance.
Okay.
So do you know what cognitive dissonance is?
Well, I read the Wikipedia definition of
Okay.
it before I arrived,
Okay.
but go ahead and tell everybody.
So cognitive dissonance, I can't claim credit for thinking of this as a topic, but a friend of mine on Thursday night, when we were drinking some very nice cognac, brought it up because we were trying to figure out, this is the left and the right thing. This is not about Republicans per se, but it is interesting that the Republicans for years have decades, character counts, Constitution matters,
right.
and the deficit and the debt are really bad. We got to take
Right.
care of it,
and
right?
that's
And all
your
those-
philosophy
right.
over decades.
Exactly.
That's
But all those
absolutely.
things under Trump have gone out the window. I don't hear Sean Hannity talking about the debt. I don't hear, Trump probably he slept with women multiple times after his son was born. So character clearly with him isn't important. But here's what's really interesting to me about why we have cognitive dissonance. It says this is from a scientific side, people tend to seek consistency in their attitude and perceptions. So they don't like having, in other words, they don't want to change their minds about anything. They don't want to have to
Right.
think about it.
And even if Trump is just this anomaly,
You can justify it.
you can justify it because we're staying with the Republican ideology.
Clearly, Ted Cruz has done all this. So because this conflict causes feelings of unease and discomfort. Here's the best part. So in other words, this is why having a conversation about facts with people
doesn't
Doesn't
persuade
work.
them in the least.
This is irrelevant to Republicans or Democrats. It's just human nature. Sometimes learning new information can lead to feelings of cognitive dissonance. For example, if you engage in a behavior that you later learn is harmful, it can lead to feelings of discomfort. In other words, guilt. Another way of saying it. People sometimes this is perfect. See, people sometimes deal with this either by finding ways to justify their behavior, or, this is the exact example, of finding ways to discredit or ignore the new information.
Right.
They don't want to hear it.
Yes.
They don't want to hear that Trump's a bad person because Biden's a bad person. They don't want to hear that Trump's got cognitive issues because Biden has cognitive issues.
Right.
They don't want to hear that the deficit got blown up because Obama blew it up. Right? It's like it's actually uncanny to me.
Well, I think I saw a poll just today that said that Republicans believe that Biden has cognitive issues, and Democrats believe, like an equal amount, believe that Trump has cognitive issues. And who is to blame for that? It's the media, the way they play it, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think clearly Biden's a decent human being. But when I've said that to my Republican friends, they get all bent out of shape. Because then they go...
What about Ukraine? What about
this?
Exactly.
Yeah. And it's like, well, none of that makes people feel... Again, none of this is important as far as helping people get jobs or get a roof over their head, right? Which Trump has done the opposite by not spending enough money. I mean, in the deficit... I could go on forever. Okay. But I just found this really interesting. Here's the other part. The more... This is clearly logical. If the more you attach, like with your sister with abortion...
Right.
The more you attach... the importance to each belief, I'm paraphrasing it, the more and the higher value you put on it, if you then find information that is counter to that,
right,
the result is greater dissonance. In other words, the result is you push back automatically because it makes you uncomfortable.
But we've seen that in the last 4 years,
exactly.
Right?
That's exactly why I brought it up. That's why I wanted to bring it up.
And that's why I feel like the world, America, is at this boiling point to where people are saying the most outrageous things that we're going to have a civil war and it won't be, North and South. It's going to be Democrats and Republicans. I've heard that said.
But again, the best part is if you as an adult, there is a way around this. Tell us, how do we fix this? Recognize that the sky isn't brown; it's really blue. It's just, in other words, I'm just paraphrasing.
Just opening your eyes.
Opening your eyes. Then,
be open to facts.
Yeah, being open to facts. So this is a great summary. Mismatches between your beliefs and your actions can lead to feelings of discomfort, as we just spoke about, and that can have a negative impact. But these feelings can sometimes lead to change and growth. Because intelligence, we are intelligent humans most of the time, intelligence allows for change. And if someone categorically tells you that unless you make this, your menu on your restaurant is too complicated. This is Gordon Ramsay might say this. Your restaurant, you got way too many items on your restaurant. It's going to crater the restaurant. You're not doing it badly enough. You're not doing it well enough because you're focusing on too many choices versus making 2 or 3 things.
Right, so now we're going to do 4 dishes.
Correct. We're going to do 4, and we're going to make them kick ass as opposed to 20 mediocre.
Right.
You
immediately go, what?
Yeah.
I've been doing this for 5 years.
Exactly.
I know what I'm doing.
But when Ramsay says it, but when someone like Ramsay can come in with some credibility, you sort of then open yourself up to it.
Right.
So that's the learning, and I love this phrase, lead to change and growth, meaning personal growth. The trouble is, and I was with, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say the trouble is there are enough people out there, whether it's Fox News or CNN, reinforcing your first thought.
Right.
That won't let you grow and change by giving you the actual facts of the situation.
Exactly, and it's a great summary, and that's why I can't even watch CNN anymore. We talked about this in the past. I can't watch CNN. It's become a mirror of Fox. Not as bad as MSNBC, but it's just I don't need everybody giving me an opinion 24/7. Just give me the damn news.
And
I can make my own mind up.
That in itself, And people don't see the difference between the opinion page or the opinion journalist or the opinions on a Fox station versus the
they've
news.
muddied the waters.
It's very muddied. But CNN, not to
CNN's
the same extent.
I guarantee you, Ted Turner.
Because the headline on Fox last week, I watched it. It said exactly the opposite of what was happening.
Really?
It says Trump not, it basically said wasn't doing this when the reporter had just said, yes, that was happening. I was like, look at that headline. Oh, if you only read the headline and you don't listen to the report, you've gotten the opposite information.
That wasn't on my list, but you just gave me a thought. So Trump came out in the Woodward book. They had the recordings.
Yes.
And said, it's right up what we're talking about. I didn't want to panic the population about COVID. So, but between you and me, Bob, even though it was on the record, he knew it was on the record for he did 20 interviews or something. 18, yeah. Between you and me, Bob, it's really kind of bad. It's 5 times worse than flu, but I don't want to tell anyone this.
He didn't say that to Bob. He didn't say, I don't want to tell anybody that. He's saying that now.
Well, no,
he did not tell Bob Woodward, I'm not really letting this be known. Nobody needs to know. I don't want people to panic. He's now saying, I didn't tell everybody that because I didn't want them to panic.
But the analogy, did you hear the analogy that someone obviously gave him because he didn't find it?
Okay.
Well, the British had keep calm and carry on during the war, right? Mm-hmm. That's a very famous slogan, keep calm and carry on. But what they failed to realize, and that, by the way, Churchill didn't say that. That was a marketing campaign. Mm-hmm. Churchill said the exact opposite. I have nothing to offer but blood, sweat, toil, and tears. Right? I mean, there's a slight difference between don't worry, be happy, which is what Trump is saying, and blood, sweat, toil, and tears, which is what Churchill was saying.
I think that the Republicans
That's the cognitive dissonance I was talking about.
Rewrite the most recent of histories.
Yeah.
And if we slurp it all up, they're happy campers. We've got to buck against it. There was a lady on TV this morning. Her name was Rona McDonald.
Okay.
She was on Meet the Press.
Oh, okay.
She said Trump came out and said, if Trump had come out and said, oh, this is awful, this is terrible, we don't know how to handle this, there would be a run on banks, a run on supermarkets, and run on hospitals. There is a middle ground.
Of course.
And that's what they don't. They try to tell you, look, we didn't want to be alarmist. So you can't go say, we'll do nothing and say nothing.
That's just pathetic.
Those are just such.
It's pathetic.
There's a lot of middle road there.
You know what the middle road would have been? Go ahead. What was your middle road? How would you have said it?
Middle road would have easily been, we're in a really serious situation here.
Yes.
We're going to do our best, but it could change minute by minute.
Yeah, exactly.
It could change day by day. It could change week by week. Right now, the guidelines are you don't have to wear a mask. Right now, the guidelines are, stay calm. We're going to keep the supermarkets open. Yeah. Because there was actually run on supermarkets. There was actually run on hospitals.
Toilet paper.
It was a lot more than
By the way,
paper,
that happened in the UK too, though.
A lot more.
By the way, that happened in the UK, the toilet paper thing. Cereal, canned food.
There were plenty of aisles at the supermarket that were empty.
Right.
I
understand.
Just saying, we did have a run on all those things.
But can I give you my take on it? Here's what I would have said. I would have said, ladies and gentlemen of America, whatever, we are a very strong and successful country. Mm-hmm. And I know Americans will do the right thing in joining me in understanding that this virus is new. We understand it's new. We don't yet know 100% of what we're dealing with. Therefore, in the meantime, I urge everybody to please keep your distance from everybody. Share, make sure you wash your hands, the central government's going to make sure that hospitals have the right equipment, that we have respirators, all those things. And we will therefore we as our central government who voted, we will take care of that. In the meantime, this is, from what we understand, more deadly than the flu. So please be careful. Something along those lines, right. And we are working on it. And anytime we get new information, like the guy that Trump has now, if what that woman was saying was true, his reason is total nonsense is because who's the guy? Dr. Atlas, who's the guy that's come on from replace Fauci to some extent on the coronavirus task force.
Okay.
He's not even an epidemiologist. The reason Fauci's there is because he was the top epidemiologist in the country.
Right.
Who do you want to believe? A charlatan? I mean, come on.
And
Your children's lives are at stake. Why would you even stand up for that? That makes no sense to me.
so
None.
Of course it doesn't. But
No.
there are people who think that the virus is a hoax.
I think there's a lot less of those now.
No. There are a lot of people who think...
Does your sister's the ones who some of those
I
think
was told this weekend, my sister in Arizona,
Yeah.
she will go to a restaurant and she will put on her mask if they make her. She doesn't walk in the door putting on the mask. She goes in.
Why?
And she waits till they make her.
Why?
Because
it's a freedom of expression thing?
Yes.
So why does she wear a seatbelt then?
Listen, I
mean,
can
seriously.
love somebody and not understand them.
Why does she wear a seatbelt? Why does she get on a plane, I'm sure, and put on a seatbelt before takeoff and landing?
I was also told that she won't get on an airplane because they will make her wear a mask. And she's not going to do it.
Yeah. That's kind of freaky.
But look at the Trump rallies. Look at the
Well,
convention.
notice how small they've got.
There are still very large gatherings
2,000
in
people.
states that don't allow large gatherings. Luckily, they're outside. But what if somebody decided
Because
they wanted
you know
to have an
why?
outdoor council? Will that be allowed?
You know what I wanted? I wanted a fully fledged Republican convention indoors. I wanted to see how
All
many
those-
turned up and how many then got sick. Who was it that died? That black guy.
Herman Cain.
Herman Cain died because of coronavirus.
Yes, he did.
He wasn't wearing a mask. He was inside the Trump rally.
Yeah.
You know, what does that tell you?
Well, I don't know. So they've at least put the rallies outside.
But only 2,000 people showed up. Like, it got a lot less people
But is
showing
that
up.
because that's all they allowed? Or
No.
is that all that?
No, if
that's
the 2,000
2,000 is still a lot of people showing
I
up
know, but it's got a lot.
unmasked. And
Most people.
this is the problem with Donald Trump is he's so inconsistent. The rules say no large gatherings. He holds a large gathering, and we say, oh, well, that's just Trump.
Well, it is just Trump.
I'm serious. What if I wanted to throw a gigantic concert? As long as it's outside, is that okay? No, I'm pretty sure I'd get arrested.
Yeah.
At least fined.
Yeah.
There can't be one rule for him and one rule for me.
Well, apparently there is.
Well,
That's
there
a
you go.
cheerful note to end
Ah,
on.
well, nah.
Do you have anything happy for us to end on?
Dude, happy. I'm looking. I'm searching through my notes.
I have something to. I got something.
Oh, you want to end on something happy?
Yeah,
like it.
I do.
Okay,
So,
do tell.
I bought a new car. I'm not going to tell you what it is, but I bought a new car, and it's a lot of fun. So I'm trying to keep the wheels.
Keep that economy chugging along.
Exactly. I did it for the good of the American economy.
That was so nice of you,
To keep the
Jonathan.
wheels chugging along.
We all appreciate it.
Yeah, I did. I had to do that. So you want to take us out?
Yeah, that's a wrap. No.
That's it? Okay,
No.
okay.
Have a great week, everybody, and we will be back and talk to you soon.
Okay, bye-bye for now.
Bye-bye.